The following are excerpts from an essay by Dr. Andrew Maskey for Randy Johnston. Though not exactly dragon-like in character, my two brick kilns are smaller versions of wood-burning structures used in Japan for centuries. I have used the climbing kiln for more than 30 years, ever since I built it returning from an apprenticeship with Japanese master potter and living national treasure Shimaoka Tatsuzo. During my time in Japan, I had an opportunity to watch a professional Japanese kiln builder work. What I observed provided me with the expertise I needed to construct a two-chamber climbing kiln, resulting in a marked improvement on an earlier attempt to erect a wood-fire kiln soon after I finished college. My other kiln, a single-chamber Anagama, is much more recent, built only in 2002. The Anagama has enabled me to achieve more dramatic firing effects than had been possible with the older Noborigama style kiln. Over the course of nearly 40 years, I have pursued my own vision, inspired by ideals rooted in the utilitarian ceramic traditions of Asia and Europe. Today, a new utilitarian ceramics tradition thrives in the United States, among its most famous regions being the Minnesota-Wisconsin area, where I have been active throughout my career. The lineage I carry forward has its elemental foundations in ancient stoneware production, the method by which clay is formed and fired to create a hard and watertight object. First was achieved in China over 3,000 years ago. The philosophical origins of my approach, however, began in the 19th century, when a small group of intellectuals began to react against the growing ubiquity of standardized industrial products and the decline of handmade crafts. In England, William Morris and John Ruskin looked to the past as a way to revitalize not only art and architecture, but society itself. Their arts and crafts movement served to inspire the Japanese aesthetics thinker, Yanagi Soetsu, to advocate for revitalization of traditional Asian crafts in the early 20th century, an approach that was eventually dubbed the Mingei, or People's Craft Movement. Among those strongly influenced by Yanagi was a young Englishman, Bernard Leach, who set up a crafts-type ceramic studio in Cornwall, England in 1920. In 1949, a pair of young Americans, Warren and Alex McKenzie, arrived to learn how to run a ceramic studio, finally staying for 2.5 years. On their return to the United States, Warren McKenzie began teaching at the University of Minnesota. It was there that 16 years later, I became a student under McKenzie, eventually rising in the ceramic field to become one of the foremost exponents of the Mingei approach. I and my fellow students embraced McKenzie's Mingei approach so well and so thoroughly, I think, that the region around Minneapolis has been dubbed Mingei Soda. Stop, RJ282, large platter, Nuka glaze with wax resist brushwork. On this platter, wax resist decoration depicting grass, along with the subtle complexities of Nuka glaze, which is composed of rice hull ash and wood ash, and iron slip, give this large platter an elusive and magical intrigue. A good example of how my work effectively expresses energy and rhythm is found in my platters and vases decorated with tall grasses. Ubiquitous throughout temperate climes in the world, mature grasses represent both the bounty of nature and the melancholy that accompanies the end of the growing season. In Japan, autumn grass motifs were incised on unglazed stoneware jars used in the 12th century funerary ceremonies, including a jar from Atsumi that has been designated a national treasure. The pattern also appears in numerous paintings on folding screens, reflecting the frequent referencing of autumn grasses in classical Japanese poetry. My grass designs are more likely an expression of the surroundings of my rural Wisconsin home than any conscious reference to Japan, but my depictions have the same sense of timeless beauty that is found in outstanding works of Asian art. At first, many of my works displaying grass motifs appear to have been glazed using the Japanese Stop RJ246. There's a rustic unpretentiousness, apparent simplicity, and effortlessness in execution in this piece. There's also a richness in the historical associations. The simple square architecture of the sushi platter